Hi, this is Craig. This is another mindfulness video. The theme for this video is rumination or overthinking. And so I'd like to talk a bit about that and basically that while we're up here in our heads, we are suffering. So this is a video on why we suffer as well and what mindfulness can do for you. So when we're in what I call the suffering circle, it's because we're resisting an event, we're resisting what is happening right now in the present moment. That could be something as simple as being rained upon outside if we're going for a walk. We might resist that. Or we might resist something else like being stuck in a waiting room or a queue, getting annoyed or getting frustrated by being stuck somewhere. So whenever we resist what is happening in the moment, we tend to go into our heads and we tend to start thinking about it. So you could say as well that a lot of our thoughts are judgments of the event, and it's normally we go straight into the past. It's kind of like, oh, I can't believe it's raining on me, that's rubbish. Or oh, I can't believe I'm stuck in this queue, that's also rubbish. So you're kind of judging what's befalling you in the moment. So when you're resisting like that, what tends to happen is if you're resisting it for a long period of time, so if you could imagine you had an argument maybe a week or 2 weeks ago and you're still kind of in your head trying to analyze or fix that, but because it's happened in the past, it's you can't fix it, but your mind keeps going back to it. You could say that your mind is ruminating on this problem. And sometimes these things can happen during your night time, when you're trying to sleep, all of these things. You find that your body gets heavier. You get more tired, you get more drained. The more you're up here thinking about something and resisting what is, you have a heavy body. And that in turn, after a while, can lead to feelings, emotions like frustration or anger or annoyance, or you might just feel bothered. You might just feel a bit huffy puffy or a bit deflated, and you might not really realize what it is that's causing this, but it'll be something that your mind is thinking about. You can also be worrying about the future, and that, if you're in a lot of future thinking, which we tend to do because we rush about a lot as humans. We're doing all the time, and so we're always thinking about the future in some shape or form. But when we're worried about the future, what if this happens, or I'm nervous about a meeting I'm going to tomorrow and I'm not sure how it's going to play out, and our brain can start ruminating and overthinking these things, and that can cause us to feel tense. So the longer we're up here in our sort of ruminative state, if you like, we're getting heavier, we're getting more frustrated, we're having emotional responses. And you could say this is our fight or flight response, this is our stress response. And it's useful at times to notice when there is a threat and to kind of get your brain to analyze it a little bit and go, well, if you go that way, you'll be safe. Or so if you can affect things in the moment, then that's great. That's what thinking is for. But often we're not in a sort of life-threatening situation when we're not having predators coming out to eat us like we used to. And so when we're stuck in things like a supermarket queue, for instance, getting annoyed in that situation is not really, that's not helping anybody. It's certainly not helping yourself. You're getting annoyed. Everyone else might be okay, but you're kind of sighing and pacing about and just want to get home kind of thing. You're thinking about the future. So it's really quite good. It's within your interest to notice when you're up here and when that's causing a physical tension, and then using mindfulness to come back to the moment. So when you're resisting, you're in your head judging things. You're probably in the past, you might be in the future, but you're not present. You're not using your mindfulness to be present. Mindfulness, just as a recap, is being in the present moment with awareness, not judging what's going on. So you're in a supermarket queue, you're not in your head going, I don't like supermarket queues, this is rubbish, if only I'd come here earlier, whatever your mind's trying to say. you're there in the supermarket queue. That is what is happening. So we're not going to resist it. With mindfulness, we accept that we are stood where we are where we are, and we can use this as a mindful practice, a mindful opportunity to maybe focus on our breathing. Notice if there is a bit of frustration or a bit of annoyance there, and become curious about it and just kind of breathe in that annoyance, like an old friend. And so you're accepting of the situation. You don't get as heated or as upset as if you were resisting the situation. So non-judgment, acceptance of what is going on, keeps you in the moment. So the more you can accept in your life, the less thinking that you do, the more you use awareness to be in the moment, whether you're feeling the chair that you're sitting on, or you're focusing on your breathing, or you're drinking your tea mindfully, or eating your cereal mindfully, or going for mindful walks, or just being present for what it is that you're doing now, you are reducing your suffering in the world. You're also creating good habits, habits of acceptance, habits of gratitude. Your body stays lighter, it feels different, you have more energy, you're more aware of your situation and surroundings, you're noticing your feelings. All of this contributes to mindfulness, and all of this brings you an inner joy, a peacefulness and a happiness can bloom from staying in the present. When we're up here thinking about the past or the future, we're not present, and those thoughts can lead to worry, anxiety, tensions, or stresses from the past. If we haven't let go of things from the past, we could be ruminating over them at night when we're trying to sleep, or things that we've held on to sometimes for years, can come back and haunt us. So really there's two ways, as I said in my previous video, there's two ways of dealing with the situation. The supermarket queue example, you can be in your ego up here going, I don't like this is rubbish, I'm judging this queue, I wish I wasn't here. That's non-presence, that's non-mindfulness. That will make you suffer more than if you were just to stand there and breathe and feel the ground under your feet and just notice any feelings that bubble up and see if you can be with them. So that's the two ways you can be in life. So when we're not Zen, when we're not mindful, this provides an opportunity to notice that we're not. So there's two ways of noticing when you're not mindful. The first is to notice that you're thinking about something else, or you're judging what is going on. So if you're in your head and you're analysing and you're judging things, you could be called a ruminator, or an overthinker. And what tends to happen is the more you're thinking and thinking and thinking, that is going into your body and generating a stress response. So that could be generating nervousness or tension or anxiety or frustration. It will manifest as an emotion. So initially, with mindfulness, noticing our thoughts that are deviating from the present moment, which is what we do in meditation, as well as mindful practices, is amazing because you can see your thoughts. You're actually becoming conscious of what you think and noticing whether you're judging things, noticing if those thoughts are creating an emotional response in you. All of these things you can get with mindfulness, and if you let the thoughts drift by, if you don't attach to the thoughts, you stay present, you stay calm and focused on the moment. So as I say in the supermarket queue example, if you're moaning and groaning about it and you catch it with your mindfulness, that's your first chance. You can let go of the thought, come back to your body. It's like, well, I'm standing here, I feel the ground under me, I'm going to breathe. That's the first clue, is noticing your thoughts. And so actually, to a beginner of mindfulness, it's really hard to notice what you think because it's very autopilot. We wake up in the morning we might wake up on a Monday morning and straight away we're in our head going, I've got work today, I've got all these things to do, oh, I'm not really looking forward to it, I'm a bit huffy puffy. You're up here straight away. We don't wake up in the morning and choose to go into our head and then analyze things. It just happens. So you could say it's subconscious. Mindfulness is choosing consciously to come back to the moment. So when you wake up on a Monday, instead of immediately going into your head, you'll pause and you'll go, right, let's start the day mindfully. Let me breathe before I even get out of bed, just following the breath. That will start the day mindfully for you. And then you can get out of bed, you can feel the ground under your feet as you're walking. You could have a mindful shower where you're really noticing the water. You might notice your mind wandering a bit, but then you're like, no, I'm in the shower. That's what I'm doing. I'm mindfully cleaning my teeth. Oh, there it goes again. I'm thinking about the future. No, back to my teeth. That's where we want to be. That is good practice. That is mindful practice. You're noticing that your mind is wandering. This is what we do in meditation, and we'll do one in a bit. So there's your first chance, is noticing your thoughts. But if you don't notice your thinking, your body will respond. If you're up here ruminating for a long period of time, you will begin to get emotional disturbances, if you like, in your body. Could be nerves, could be anxiety, could be a feeling, an emotion, could be heaviness, tiredness. All of these could be clues that you're overthinking. So when you get a body response, this is your second chance for mindfulness, is to be with this body response. So rather than thinking about what's causing the emotion, you stay with your emotion. And this is something that I call sitting with your suffering, which sounds really hard, but it's really not. We don't judge in mindfulness. Sitting with your emotions is a really lovely way of helping them move through you quicker. If you're thinking about the future, for example, like a meeting tomorrow, and you're getting all wound up about it, the more you think about that thing, the bigger your anxiety will get, because you've not seen the anxiety yet. You're not with your feeling. Whereas if you let go of the thinking and come to your body, then in the present moment you haven't left the present moment. You're there, noticing that these emotions are in you, and that's when you can comfort yourself. You can comfort that emotion. It's like a friend. It's not there as an enemy. It's not there to make you feel worse, particularly. Some of these feelings are uncomfortable, but they're signals to wake up, to come back to the moment, to come back to mindfulness. So, and that's where the peace and the calm can come. So noticing that you have an emotion is a great step. So the sitting with the suffering, you first of all have to recognize that there's resistance to something, the fact that you're thinking about something. So if you're worrying about a meeting tomorrow, you're resisting that meeting in some way. You're like, oh, I'm not sure I want to go to that. So you could say you're judging the meeting. You're resistant. So you're in your head resisting it, thinking ways of maybe not going, or thinking of what you can do to soften going or whatever. But you're still in your head thinking about it. So there's no acceptance of the meeting or the moment or anything. You're in your head. You're thinking. So the first step is, if you're noticing, you might not notice the thoughts, but you might notice that there's anxiety starting to creep in, and you're going, oh, I'm worrying about tomorrow. That's mindfulness. It's like, right, I've noticed. I recognize I have anxiety in me right now. So step one, recognize that you have a feeling. And then try and name it. Is this anxiety? Is this frustration? What is this? Yeah, I think it's anxiety. Yep, definitely. I can feel butterflies in my tummy. Yep, I'm nervous. That's what it is. And once you label, you've named the emotion, then you've got something to work with. You know that in this moment you are feeling this. And so the second step is to welcome in that feeling. So rather than run from it or distract from it or push it away or go into your head and go, I don't want to be anxious, I hate it, actually, I wish it would just go away, I want to be happy. Notice that all of these things is thinking, and it's taking you away from the moment into a future where there's no anxiety. You're kind of delaying your calmness until you're not anxious, or you're beating yourself up for being anxious. Own the emotion. You have it there right now, so there's no point resisting it. Accept you have an emotion and welcome it in. It's almost about befriending all what happens in the moment. Be kind to what happens in the moment. So if you're feeling anxious, be anxious. Sit with it and welcome it in. It's a friend. It's trying to prod you to wake up, to say, you're thinking too much. You need to be with your body and calm me down, and then we'll be okay. So that's why we feel things like anxiety. So we welcome it in. Welcome in anxiety, my old friend. Breathing out, calmness. This is what we try and do. So we welcome it in, and then we breathe with it. So we do breathe. We feel the air as we breathe in and out, and we calm our anxiety. We know it's there. It's like a child within coming back to say hi. A lot of these emotions are based on past experiences, things that we've learned from a very young age. And so when they come up, when they're triggered by what happens now or in the future, we can be with them. We can, just as if a child was to walk in here into this room, I wouldn't say go away if they were saying, oh, I'm really anxious. If there's an anxious child, you want to cuddle the child or sit with the child and sort of, are you okay? You know, can I sit with you? Can I be with you? Can we breathe together? Can we reach calmness? That's what we're trying to do. So you calm the feeling with your breath. And deep breaths are very good, very useful. And once you've done that for a while, it starts to lessen the emotion. And then you can fully give your emotion a big hug. You know, mentally visualize hugging your anxiety. You know, some people draw anxiety as a little demon on a notebook or something like that. Might even call them a name, like Alfie, Mr. Anxiety Demon. So when Alfie comes, it's like, right, give you a hug, Alfie. Sit there, breathing with you. We'll be fine. Everything will be okay. And so you're embracing the fact that you have these feelings. That's what's happening now. So if we're practicing mindfulness, what's happening now is a thing for acceptance. Everything is about acceptance, letting go of resistance. If you let go of the thoughts, you're letting go of resistance. So if you do those steps, you'll find your emotions are less stronger. You're not feeding them with your thinking, because the more you think about the future or the past, the bigger these emotions will come. It's better to stay with the emotion, breathing with them, calming them, welcoming, hugging them, being kind to them, just as if you would to a friend or a young child. And then it shifts, it goes away, because there's a law of impermanence in this life, and everything will change. You're not going to be anxious forever. And so once it's gone, you can get curious about it. You'd be like, well, interesting that a supermarket queue is getting me annoyed still, still not quite zen, I've been practicing my meditation and my mindfulness for ages, but I go into a supermarket queue and it just goes nuts. It's good to get curious about it. You might not get an answer back immediately, but what you're trying to do is use everything in life as a learning for you to grow, to become more zen. To not beat yourself up over the fact that you do get annoyed or that you do get anxious. We are human. We are going to get these emotions from time to time. So when they come up, rather than beat yourself up for having them or wishing you didn't have them, be with them with friendliness and unconditional love, and be kind to yourself and get curious about why they're here, because they're here to give us guidance. They're here to teach us something. So there's a couple of acronyms I'd like to point out to you. One's called STOP, and this is a good one when you're out and about, when you are stuck in queues or traffic or somewhere and you're just getting annoyed, you're just getting fed up, or you see something, you might see some litter on the ground or something and just go, oh, for God's sake, these people who just throw litter away. And then you're like, oh, I'm noticing I'm getting a bit annoyed. Stop. So STOP is an acronym for stop, take a breath, observe yourself, proceed. So stop. I'm breathing. I've noticed I've judged something. Let me come back to myself with mindfulness. Let me feel the ground under my feet. Observe. How am I feeling? A bit annoyed. I'm noticing I'm still thinking about that litter. I'm not there now, I've walked on, but I'm still thinking about that. I'm observing that I'm in the past with my thoughts. Okay, let go, proceed, I'm here, I'm walking. That's what I'm doing. It doesn't mean, incidentally, that you don't pick up the litter if you're able to. You can act on things that you believe aren't right or wrong. That's okay, but you're not holding on to the past. That's what we're trying to do here. We're letting go with resistance. That's the practice. And RAIN is another acronym, which is recognize. The R in RAIN is recognize that you're thinking, recognize what the thought is about, accept, that's the A in RAIN, acceptance, that you are thinking about things and you are judging things or whatever, because it's good to accept those too. But then the I in RAIN, is identifying how you feel in your body. So again, it's very similar to the observe in stop. You're noticing how you feel. And then the N of RAIN is sometimes called nurture, but it's also non-attachment, and it means letting go again, non-attachment. I'm not letting go, I'm letting go of my judgment of this thing, or I'm letting go of my analysis of this feeling, or I'm letting go of beating myself up, or I'm letting go that someone dropped litter on the road. I'll act and I'll deal with things out of my wisdom and my inner knowing, but I'm not necessarily needing to think about all these things. So RAIN, stop and RAIN, they're quite useful acronyms when you're out and about. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, is just that we do go into our heads, and it's very normal and natural to do that, but we tend to get caught up in our thoughts. We attach to our thoughts, and our thoughts are very negatively biased a lot of the time because our brain is trying to scan where we're going and keep us safe. So that's why we go into our head and we worry about ourselves, or we worry about our future or our past, and we're trying to keep ourselves safe. But the longer you're up here, it's not really keeping you safe. It's just generating lots of stressful hormones and emotions and everything else. So it's much better to try and accept each moment if you can. And obviously when we're relaxed and we're not resisting anything, that's perfect time to practice mindfulness, because we'll have the space to do it. Whether we're mindfully drinking our tea, or mindfully walking somewhere and noticing the scenery, we're in the moment, we're embracing life. We get more joy and happiness if we do that. So I'll just finish with a meditation like I always do. So I invite you to close your eyes just for a moment. I will guide you through. I have my little singing bowl here that I shall hit to make the noise to start the meditation. And just try and relax in the chair that you are in. Come back to your moment and let's have a go. So just begin by noticing your breath, noticing your in-breath and your out-breath. Feeling the air as you breathe in feeling the air as you breathe out. Breathing in, you know you're breathing in. Breathing out, you know you're breathing out. Just notice if your mind wanders away from your breath. If it does, just smile and gently bring your focus back to your breath. Breathing in calmly, breathing out easily. Just take this moment as well just to observe how you're feeling, noticing any sensations or emotions, breathing with them, accepting how you're feeling. Notice as well the chair that you're sitting on, your posture, and try and smile if you can, just noticing what it feels like to smile. Breathing in, smiling. Breathing out, releasing. Tune in as well to any sounds that might be present. Just noticing the present moment. Just letting each sound come and go. And then again, return to your breath. Just take another few conscious breaths, feeling the air as you breathe in and breathe out. And then, just when you're ready, Gently open your eyes, come back to where you are. Okay, so thank you for meditating with me. It was about 6 or 7 minutes, I think. Not too long, but enough, hopefully, to just ground you a bit and notice if your mind is wandering off and to bring it back. And also to notice how you're feeling and just tune in with yourself. And these are great practices. When you're out and about, you can always do that. Focus on your breath. Even 1 or 2 breaths can be enough to interrupt judgmental mind and come back to your body. So I hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching, and I will be back again next week with another video. Incidentally, there's a sheet for this video that you can download from www.craig-gilbert.com, and if you click on the videos on the front page and go to number 7, which is what this video is, there'll be a sheet to download on that page which will cover basically what I've talked about today. It talks a bit about suffering. So suffering, just to recap, is from overthinking too much, thinking about me, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that kind of thing. Letting go of that, coming back to your body, is non-suffering, is acceptance of the moment. So have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll speak to you again another time. Bye for now.